Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing well today. Trying to go live again once as usual. Just trying to connect the other feed up. Just bear with me for just 1 second. And I think we're coming on live. Okay, I think we're all set now. Hey, so the thing I want to talk today about to you today about was sales. So just came back from a conference called Weapons and Tactics. It's with the Air National Guard. So it's your typical trade show. So if you recall, I used to work for the government and really never thought about sales other than didn't want to be pestered a lot of times with sales guys coming in to see me. But part of that is that you're just so busy, you're trying to get your job done. And you really don't have time to really entertain your sales guys coming in, or at least that's what you think about when you're on that side of the fence. But the reality is that everything that we had, we bought from somebody. So somebody sold us on something the entire time. So when I started this company, one of the things I was trying to figure out was how do you actually sell somebody? How do you sell a thing and not have it come off as kind of pestering folks? Because that's not what I wanted, and I didn't want to give that back to my clients. And so I've spent the last 6 years really trying to figure out the answer to those questions. And I talked to a lot of people in the early days. We do a lot of development, a lot of SBIR, STTR. So again, small business innovative research projects. So in those cases, you don't really think of yourself as a prototypical salesperson. And that's because you're just writing proposals and you're fulfilling the obligations and the terms and conditions of the contracts. But the reality is that at some point, even DoD wants you to sell the product. There's requirements after you've hit a certain number of phase twos, and phase twos again are where we're prototyping systems. At the end of it, though, they want you to have sold so much, and so I think the numbers are after you've had 19 phase twos, you have to sell $100,000 of products per phase two, and so $1.9 million. And they really want the money to come from outside of Department of Defense. And so somehow you're going to have to bring on a sales team, or you're going to have to create a sales team. And so really what I want to talk about today is what that process looks like and how do you sell things. We've been fortunate enough to represent a few companies on selling products. It's an effort that I'm going to spend a lot more time on the next month or two. To really kind of kick off our sales team, because we do have a number of products that I believe in, and those products will be available to purchase, some on commercial to commercial sources, and some just to DoD. And so again, I came back from this Weapons and Tactics trade show. We had a lot of interest in our USP software. It basically shreds any kind of data and it wraps it in encryption. So something that we started talking about 5 years ago, I was convinced that it was an amazing product. And so now we're at the point now where we've got a lot of interest. And so how do you close those deals, right? And so we're also working on a alternate GPS system that's also starting to get a lot of interest as well. And so, really what I'll talk about is what I've learned over the last 5 years in terms of getting sales and then closing those deals. And so the first thing is really about lead generations, or lead gen. And so you got to find somebody who's interested in possibly buying your product or service. And so that could be in person, it could be cold calls, could be email campaigns, could be whatever. And then the next step is really just getting their attention. Like, there's so much that's going on in the world, right now, elections, that's obviously, if you look at social media, there's a ton of election coverage right now. And so how do you get attention away from somebody who wants to talk about Taylor Swift or Donald Trump? Those are the people who are going to really get the attention. And so somehow you have to differentiate yourself, and you are absolutely competing with that. So once you get these leads, the next thing is what do you do with the leads? And so mathematically, you can calculate, hey, what my conversion rate is from a lead to an appointment, and then eventually you want some sort of meeting or demonstration. So there's a conversion rate there. And then, how do you close? And it's funny is most people will never close because you don't ask for the close. You don't ask for the sale. You don't ask for somebody's business. So I just had a meeting with my staff. We're going to go into SOCOM next week. And I'm like, okay, why are we going there? What are we wasting people's time for? Or is there something we want to tell them about that we're going to do? Is we're going to solve one of their problems? And so really just, asking them what the problems are, and then asking them for their business. So after you've met with these folks, the next kind of step is really fact finding. So I think we've done a pretty good job recently of talking to our customers and asking them what the problems were. So when I was at the booth this week, people would come up, and this is the backdrop that we had at the booth. And it really doesn't show you, what it is that Ombra does. And so they would walk up to us a little bit confused and say, so what do you do here? And so my response was, well, we do a lot of things. We do everything from underwater adhesives to space. Tell me a little bit more about what your problems are, what challenges you have. And so really expressing interest in your client and figuring out what it is that they're interested in solving, because they have a job. They're not thinking about your product every day. They're thinking about the thing that their bosses asked them to work on or worry about. And so those conversations led to a lot of conversations. One is, we had a flight nurse that she came up and said, well, wow, we're working on this vest right now where a patient can wear it and it'll monitor their vital signs. And so they were really interested in that. We had a wireless intercom system, all kinds of different things. We've had water testing tools, but if I just start, trying to shotgun that out at people, probably not going to get a lot of attention, or at least interest. Their eyes are going to glaze over, and they're not going to want to talk to you. So, first and foremost, what is the problem they have? And then once you've kind of done this question and answer session a little bit, then you'll know how to pitch your product. And maybe your product isn't the right thing, and that's fine. Maybe there's someone they know that will be a useful person for this product. So the next thing you're kind of into is you're into the demonstration. You're going to talk about what the thing that your marketing does. So the data fragmentation and encryption capability. So I can talk about that. I can say, hey, I can take any kind of data and I can push it through maybe some degraded communications capabilities. And so now all of a sudden you can get your data out where maybe you couldn't before. And so what you really want to do is answer the questions that they have, or talk about their problems. Maybe you're on a submarine and you have low data rates, and so somehow you want to be able to still get a video out. Well, this would do that for you. And so what we start talking about is what are the features, the advantages, and the benefits, right? So features, advantages, benefits. So the features may be, hey, I can send this this data stream out at 128 kilobits per second or something. The advantage is, well, now I can compare to something else. I can go ahead and get the video transmitted when the competitor product isn't able to do that. And then the benefit really is that however that person's going to feel. Well, maybe you're safeguarding your crew or something like that. And so people buy on benefits, not necessarily the features. We were talking about a truck I drive, and it has a diesel engine, right? And so went through the hurricane season. And so the feature was it had a diesel engine, right? The advantage was I was able to find gas when a lot of folks weren't able to. And the benefit was if I needed to leave town, I could bring my daughter and we would be able to leave town, and I'd be confident to get on the roads that I'd be able to find fuel. So features, advantage, benefits, and then finally, the last part of the sales process is really asking for the close or their business, right? And so, what are the objections they have? How do you address their objections? And so sometimes, people think that there's 3 or 4 objections. There's really only one objection. Sometimes there's complaints, but in general, there's one objection. And so what you have to do is you have to prove that what you're trying to provide them is worth more than maybe the funding that they have, so that your product really solves their problems. A lot of times you're not going to close the first time, and so that's fine, right? So then the next phase we're into is feedback, or follow-up, I should say. And so following up the customer. And so you got to figure out, based on the type of customer that you're working with, what the right periodicity in terms of follow-up is. But we've had situations where we've just gotten so busy with things we've just forgotten to reach back out, and so it's obviously awkward. It's absolutely our fault for letting that conversation go cold, and so figuring out the right speed in which you're going to have these follow-up conversations critical. So that's really what I wanted to talk to you today about. Kind of keep it a little bit briefer today than usual, but really want to talk about a sales process. It's really a volume game, and you can figure it all out by math if you understand what your conversion rates are and things like that. So anyway, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out and ask us those, or drop some comments in the chat. Hope this was useful, and please feel free to share it with your friends.